And so let's say Democrats win Arizona. So again, it hasn't been called. Now it goes 49-48. Let's say they win Nevada. It's now 50-48. Now the critical race is going to be this, and that is what we saw, 2 years ago? Georgia. It comes down to Georgia. You see the map right there. Let me go back to it. You see the map right there. All of the places, all the red that you see, that's where Herschel Walker won. Then you see the blue where Senator Raphael Warnock won. Bottom line is this here. When you see all of that blue, a lot of those are your suburban counties that jump out. But here are the actual results as we stand right now. Senator Raphael Warnock, 1,941,000 votes, 49.42%, not getting 50.1%. Herschel Walker, 1,906,000, separating them about 35,000 votes. The Secretary of State announced it is going to a runoff, and here's why that is now significant. After 2020, remember what happened. The Republicans immediately changed the laws there in Georgia. And so you remember, the election was in November. The runoff was the first week in January. What they did was cut it in half. The runoff is now December 6th. Also, you had opportunity after the November election for people who did not vote, people who were not registered for the general election, to then get registered for the runoff. They changed that. Guess when the deadline was for the runoff? It was Monday. So even though it's now a runoff, if you did not register for the general election, you now cannot vote in the runoff because the deadline was Monday. If you registered after the deadline took place, you can register, but now you're talking about it's Monday. And so again, we're looking at that. And so they changed those particular rules. And so really what should be happening right now is an intensive focus on the ground, every single day. And I've been tweeting this and posting this. Every single day matters now because the calendar has been shrunk. And so when you talk about giving resources, and I said this as well, and I put this tweet out, and I said, look, if you want to send money to the campaigns, that's great. But I think it's going to be an air war. It's going to be a ground war. And I believe the ground war is what's going to be the difference as opposed to the air war. The consultants are going to dump the money all on television, but I think it should be on the ground. And so what I'm encouraging folks, there are 3 groups. I've worked with them directly. If you want to support the folks who are on the ground, support Black Voters Matter, support the New Georgia Voter Project, and then support Georgia Stand Up. They are on the ground, knocking on doors, and not just in Atlanta. They're going to Swainsboro, Statesboro, Albany, Athens, Savannah, Columbus. They're going to Augusta. They're going to these non-major cities because that's also the key, reaching the Black folks who are in those areas. That is what is critically important when you begin to understand the election. If you look at the race with Sherry Beasley, she lost by 135,000 votes. But guess what? She was dominating in urban areas, losing in rural areas. Congressman Ted Budd, how did he win? Suburbs, and rural areas. And so they also did not do well in the eastern portion of North Carolina in the Black Belt. And so that's why we're talking about mobilizing Black voters. And so that is important, folks, as we begin to understand and unpack what's going to happen with that particular runoff. Last night, Warnock and Walker both addressed their followers. Here, first up is Senator Raphael Warnock.
Well, hello, Georgia. Listen, I just wanted to drop by because I'm coming back tonight. We got more to say. But I heard y'all were having a party down here. Listen, I wanted to drop by and say thank you. Thank you. Georgia Georgia is showing up in such an amazing way in this moment. I mean that. I can't even begin to tell you how proud I am of my state. I'm a proud son of Georgia. And I'm grateful for all the work that you all are putting in. And I'll say more later, so I'm going to try to defy Baptist preacher gravity and not talk too long. But listen, we always knew that this race would be close. And so here, that's where we are. So y'all just hang in there. I'm feeling good. I do. I feel good. And just hang in there and enjoy one another. I'm with you. And we know how much is at stake in this election. So thank you for being with me, and I'm grateful that we are together every step of the way. And if you can hang in here for just a little while longer, we'll come back and say some more. But in the meantime, I'm going to say to you what I say to my church every Sunday. Keep the faith and keep looking up.
All right, folks, that's Senator Raphael Warnock. Y'all know I don't give a damn what Herschel Walker has to say. And so bottom line is this here. All eyes are now going to, again, be on the Peach State. We're going to be looking at that. Let's talk about this with my panel. I'm going to walk on over here, so y'all follow me here. Joining us here in the studio, folks that were with us last night, up late, breaking all of these things down. Glad to have them back. We got Monique Presley, crisis manager, legal analyst. She's here. We got my man, Larry Walker. Larry, you back in Florida?
Where's Larry?
I'm actually still in the Northeast because of the storm.
All right, so that's right. A hurricane is coming there, and that government, we should knocked out, give a concussion to Ron DeSantis after last night. Of course, and already Republicans are yelling and screaming how, he's the bright future of the party. Yeah, y'all know how I feel about that. Rebecca Carruthers, Vice President, Fair Election Center at the Amakongo Dibinga Professorial Lecturer, School of International Service, American University. And again, y'all, Larry Walker, Assistant Professor, University of Central Florida. Rebecca, let's start with you. Georgia. Here we are again, well, that's going to be the pivotal state. And as I said, a lot of the money is going to be put on the air. This is a ground game. At the end of the day, it's can you turn your people out? And that's going to be a lot of door knocking, a lot of canvassing, going back to people repeatedly, trying to get them to turn out.
You're absolutely right. This is all about text banking, phone banking, just like with the runoff from January 2021. We're going to be engaged with a lot of college students, letting them know how important it is for them to be involved in this. And one of the top messages that we have for them is, you all made change, record-breaking change, history-making change in 2021. You have the power, and it's time for you to do it again starting next Monday.
Monique, and it's also as part of this, when we talk about now with this runoff, there was a lot of energy, and there was so much intensity focused on Georgia in 2020. It's going to be a whole, Republicans are going to look, this calendar is shortened. I wouldn't be surprised if you see $30 to $40 million literally spent in the next 30 days on their side alone. And so much of that's going to be on television and radio. But again, the way to counter that is figuring out, looking at the data, finding out What are the percentage of black folks? Where did they vote? Where didn't they vote? How can you juice those numbers up? And as I said, if you can get black turnout in those rural areas up to 65, 68, 70, 75%, that's game changing.
Right, and we've done it before, so we can do it again. And by we, I mean the people who are already on the ground, which is why I appreciated the appeal that you just made, because the types of information that you said we need, there's infrastructure already built. There are people who already know how to do this, who have been doing it for years, who were responsible for getting Georgia to the fact that Georgia's even in play right now. So that is where I hope that we will throw all of our support, and that we will follow instructions in that regard. And even though Stacey Abrams lost yesterday, and I wish that she hadn't, what I'm confident about is that she herself is committed to Georgia and committed to ensuring that Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock stays in office. So I would expect her full machining apparatus, Black Voters Matter Fund, all of the other organizations that are so good at what they do to be doing it again.
Larry, I know there's some people who are watching in Florida who are saying, well, yeah, we're right next door, but that's really a Georgia thing. And I'm like, oh, actually not. When we went to Swainsboro, then we went to, we were in Brunswick. We actually flew into Jacksonville, Florida, because it's closer to get there than it is from Atlanta. I'm trying to pull up this map in a second. And so, you know, again, our folks there in Florida, if you actually want to help the folks in Georgia, you ain't far across the border to be able to help the folks in that region of Georgia to turn out and canvass on behalf of Senator Warnock.
Yeah, you're right, Roland. You know, that Jacksonville is located in Duval County. And so it's not that difficult for people to travel maybe 45 minutes to an hour and be in Georgia, and then make sure they can help Warnock, you know, win this, win the election, and make sure we can have control of the Senate. But listen, this is boots on the ground, Roland. And I think the other thing that we have to highlight is consider those folks who registered to vote who did not vote. Right? And so, but these elections, statewide elections, are won at the margins. And I thought the other point that you made in terms of, supporting some of these black organizations that historically have been on the ground in Georgia and other states, that we do have to give money to the right people. I know it's sometimes even we have, natural disasters, people give places to the Red Cross. And often there are other entities already in the state doing the work. So kind of similar, comparison. But listen, this is it. And if we want to make sure we get more, federal judges, particularly black federal judges, particularly more black women federal judges, there are black women federal judges. But in terms of some of the other issues we care passionately about as a community, we want get those issues through the Senate, and we'll see obviously what happens with the House. But we've got to make sure that we get Warnock in and don't let Herschel Walker become U.S. Senator, because it will be utter embarrassment for the people of Georgia and for black folks throughout the nation.
Congo, we've talked about this on this show numerous times, trying to get people to understand how do you connect the dots. And when we're talking about the United States Senate, again, yes, it looks like Republicans are likely going to control the United States House. But by Democrats controlling the Senate, they control judicial nominees. And we've seen these rulings. The people who targeted the black farmers and the money, what did they do? Went to Trump-appointed judges. And when it came to the FBI getting the documents from Mar-a-Lago, what did his folks do? Went judge shopping and went to a Trump-appointed judge. And so the ability for Democrats to be able to keep appointing federal judges, keep appointing more black federal judges, black men and black women, that is going to be crucial because, again, the federal courts have played a huge role. When you look at all of the efforts by the lawyers, one of the reasons why Democrats did not get wiped out last night is because of the legal strategy, fighting gerrymandering, fighting these Republicans every step of the way, and they were cleaning their clocks in case after case after case. Mark Elias, Laws Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, NAACP, Legal Defense Fund, and so many others, they rarely lost because they didn't just have a political strategy, they had a political and a legal strategy, but you need the judges who are going to also rule in the favor. And as I said last night, Republicans now control the Ohio Supreme Court, North Carolina State Supreme Court. They still control the Wisconsin Supreme Court. If the voters in Wisconsin are able to overturn those Republicans there, guess what? You might see a lawsuit come back but they may overturn political gerrymandering. Supreme Court has already ruled, oh, we can't touch political gerrymandering. And so if you get Wisconsin, if to be able to mobilize and change that state with the judicial nominees, all of a sudden, if they are able to rule against political gerrymandering, that changes the entire map in Wisconsin and it changes the state. So we can't act like judges don't matter.
Oh, absolutely. And it would be really important, as we talked about last night, a lot of these guys out there would spend more time listening to what we're saying in black media about these issues. Republicans have been able to make the gains that they have because they've been smarter strategically as relates to their scheming and plotting. And so while we're out here talking about personalities and I don't like this guy or that guy, they didn't even like Trump, Roland, but they were focused on the courts. That's all they cared about. And they didn't only care about the Supreme Court. They cared about judges on every level across the country. And if people can get in there, and if the House and Senate goes Republican, and if they can just focus on only blocking judicial nominations, that is a success enough for them. And of course, they got all of these other things, investigate Hunter Biden and all of this. But if they just do that alone, imagine if somebody like a DeSantis comes in and we have 2 years of judges not getting appointed. Who knows? Maybe Clarence Thomas decides that it's time to step down. Maybe, and so many other things at the local and state levels. So we have to be more sophisticated. Just like the Republicans have done with Roe v. Wade, they'll wait for almost 50 years until they can get it done, but they don't stop. And so even when they're not in power, even when they're in a minority, they still flex themselves like a majority. I am so proud that on the ground in Georgia and in other places, people have been listening to what many of us have been saying for years and being active-minded. And your tweet and Instagram post about supporting and talking about it last night, about supporting the local groups on the ground, that was what, I mean, many of your ideas have been genius, but for those of us who weren't thinking about that, who've only been thinking about candidate, that's so important because when we talk about boots on the ground, we're going to have the whole MAGA infrastructure descending on Georgia, even if those guys didn't care for Walker last night because many who voted for Kemp didn't vote for him. But now, to get this black intellectual out of the Senate, they're going to do everything possible. So we need to donate to those local groups. And if any of us got the time across this country to get on the ground, we need to be there as well. It's Georgia or bust right now. And judges are key to everybody's strategy on the Republican side. It's got to be key for us, too.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
We are in sunny South Dallas. The election is coming up. It's super important that folks know who they are voting for, but more importantly, what they are voting for. Y'all, we got the free shirts and free lunch right over here.
Freedom is our birthright. No matter what we're up against, we're sending a message in Dallas and Texas and in the country. We won't back down. That's what this bus tour is all about.
The housing cost is one of the most capitalized areas that we have found. People who are marginalized, that are brown and black, we are suffering the most, and I think that we have the biggest vote and the biggest impact in this election.
I'm voting for affordable housing, for sure.
We should not be paying the cost of a utility failure because our elected officials are too proud to say we need help.
I know that we can bring out our people to vote. It's a part of our birthright. Right. It's a part of our heritage, and surely it's a part of our present and a part of our future.
That's right. That's what's up. And we won't black down. Forward that message to 5 friends, because in that message, it's got links to how to get registered, how to check your registration status.
Like I said, 2:30 we'll start rendezvousing right here on this street. I am voting to let our voice be heard in the rural communities that, hey, we are people too. There are things that we need.
Free shirts, free food, and lots of power.
We are in Longview, Texas, where Black Voters Matter, 365.
Whatever type of oppression a white supremacist throws our way, we will not black down. We are in relentless pursuit of liberation of our people.
Freedom is liberation for black bodies and black communities to make economic change through political power.
Freedom is choice.
We won't black down.
We won't black down.
We won't black down, y'all.
We won't black down.
We won't black down.
We won't black down.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?